Welcome to Tailgate Wraps 101, where wrapping is made easy. It's actually always easy. In fact, the hardest thing to a wrap is prepping it. You'll need to take some serious time on cleaning this vehicle. If the tailgate is not cleaned on both sides and around the corners very well, your wrap will not last. Thanks for calling Wraps 101. How can I help you?
Hold up, why is cleaning it so important? Aren't we just going to cover it up with a wrap anyway?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The reason you need to make sure it's cleaned so well is because the adhesive won't stick to anything that's slimy or dirty. Basically what happens is when you wrap that thing on there and you set it down, if there's dirt on there, it will stick to the dirt, but the dirt will come off and so will the tailgate wrap. If there's grease around the corners, Armor All, or any other slimy products, it just won't last. When we're doing the first wash, we typically use just a regular rag or a washcloth meant for washing vehicles. Our second wash, we go back and we use Scott's blue paper towels. These paper towels are light enough in color that they're a good gauge for you to be able to tell how clean the car is. As you're washing it, you can keep flipping it over and looking to see how clean that paper towel is. If the paper towel is getting dirty, throw it away, grab a new one, start again. As long as they're getting dirty, that car is not clean enough to wrap.
Hey, Mr. Wrap Man, is there anything else I can do to make sure I get a quality wrap?
Fact there is. We use 90% rubbing alcohol and Scott's lint-free paper towels. What we do is we'll start in the top left-hand corner usually, and we'll take a stripe all the way down the tailgate. You do it in about a 6-inch patch all the way across. Overlap 50%, so you're only going to move 3 more inches. Full overlap, straight on down. After each wipe, you'll want to just toss that paper towel in the garbage and grab a new one. That sounds wasteful, but it's not. You're going to save your tailgate wrap because that's the number one problem with installers. They do not prep their vehicles. This vinyl does stick. It will last, but you have to have it clean enough. Otherwise, it's just going to fall off and hit the ground like that. Boom. Fail. Now, the second most important thing, moving on to the pre-fit. Pre-fitting is just so you don't end up cropping off any verbiage or important artwork that you want to make sure is retained on the wrap after you trim it and go around corners, such as you don't want the duck's head inside the tailgate handle. You don't want the verbiage on the outside of the tailgate to be cropped, and instead of saying do it yourself, it says oh it yourself. Those are the kind of things that we need to think about now, how we can ensure that those areas are not cropped when you're doing it. What we typically do, if it has a border like this in particular one does, we will cut little triangles into that white border that goes all the way around it. That way we could use it like a little peephole to see where the tailgate is, and we could use it as a guide. We don't want to take off all the edge because you need somewhere to put the tension and pull it. And you'll see in the video that we use that edge to pull it up, set it down, pull it up, and set it down.
Hey, wait a minute. My tailgate doesn't have a white border.
Most of the tailgates that we send out usually don't have a white border, at least not on the top and the bottom. On this in particular one, it is different because this is reflective. Reflective vinyl only comes on a 48-inch roll. Now, because it was a 48-inch roll, we didn't have very much room for bleed because we were doing the top glass and the tailgate at the same time. And there was no extra vinyl left by the time we printed both of those to have a bleed. Something else I should let you know is you definitely do not want to do this in the sun or when it's windy. I highly recommend that you do it indoors in a very well lit area at the temperature of about 75 degrees.
Why does it matter what the temperature is?
Well, here, let me go into that just a little bit. When it's a little too warm, say 85 to 95 area, the vinyl becomes a lot stretchier. Even when you're just peeling it off of the back of the paper, you could actually make it increase in size dramatically. If it's 95 degrees when you pull it off, you could approximate maybe 3 or 4 extra inches on that. If it is too cold, well, say somewhere around 60 or 55 degrees, a lot of times you'll be able to get it on no problem. But what happens as it warms up? The air will expand. When the air expands, they form bubbles. And so you'll have a perfectly great wrap when you do it. But a day later, when it's sitting out in the sun, bubbles will form because you didn't know you didn't have all the air out. So basically, that's why we don't want them going on too cold. And a side note, you'll also want to make sure that the backing itself is very clean. So when you first roll it out, you'll have to ensure whatever you set the vinyl on is extremely clean. Otherwise, when you pick it up to do your pre-fit, when you set it on there, whatever dirt is on the backing will be transferred over to the tailgate. About now, you're able to notice that we're able to pick this up and set it down without any resistance at all. Most vinyls out there that you set down, it will stick, and when you pull it back up, it will stretch out of shape. Not this vinyl. We only use vinyl that has glidability and air release. And it's really easy to wrap with that. Trying to wrap with vinyls that do not have that, it's almost impossible to get a nice job. We know we can lower our prices. We can lower our prices a lot, but then we have to use a garbage vinyl, and that just ain't worth it. We want it to last and look great for years to come.
Sorry to keep calling you, but why do you guys keep lifting that wrap up and down?
No problem. No problem at all. Keep calling. As many questions as you got, we'll try and come up with an answer. No, the reason that we keep lifting the wrap up and down like that is we're trying to get the alignment just right. There's not very much of a border on there. In fact, we have about a 1/4 inch bleed, maybe a 1/2 inch on the sides, and on the top and the bottom, we're a little over an inch. So that's pretty tight. There's a lot of text and not a lot of room for error. So we keep trying to get it right. All right, looks like we got it. It's time to get this party started. And here comes Michael. That's what we call the white gloves. We actually prefer the older gloves that are almost completely wore out because you can feel the vinyl a lot better. We're not suggesting you run out and buy a used pair of gloves to do this wrap. We're suggesting that you go out and buy the thinnest glove if you're going to choose to use gloves to do this wrap. You know, most people only use squeegees. We actually recommend that you use a squeegee with suede. In fact, we sell those on our website. We like them so much. But when it comes to gloves, we only recommend you use the thinnest one. That way you can feel the vinyl as you're doing it. Well, I'm here to tell you, wrapping is easy. The hardest thing about it is prepping the car. We are wrapping now, and we've got about 15 minutes max till this thing is done. Watch how fast it goes on. Might want to take a close look at how we're squeegeeing. We're doing a 50% overlap with a slight bit of an angle on that. That way we can go and force the air out towards the forward side, just lightly pressing. You might want to take notice how we're not actually going all the way down to the bottom or all the way up to the top. We're going up to the body line on the top and down to the body line on the bottom. We'll go back after we get all the air out of this and we'll plow through the bottom one, and then we'll turn the tailgate around and do the top. About now, you might be wondering, why are they pulling that lower portion of that wrap up? Well, I'll tell you why real quick. We don't want to stretch the vinyl into the body line. If you stretch the vinyl into the body line, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, it will pop out. So whenever you can, you want to try and feed it. So that's why we didn't squeegee the lower portion of that.
Hey, I just saw some Camaro stripes on the right side of your video there, and I have a Camaro. Do you have videos to apply those to?
Yes, we do have more wrap training videos. We have a full selection of wrap training videos. Grill wraps, rocker wraps, tailgate wraps, racing stripes, side stripes, hood decals, side decals, and more.
They're probably a lot harder to install than a tailgate though, huh?
Well, most of our kits are super easy to install because they come pre-cut. What do I mean by pre-cut? It's simple. When we say they're pre-cut, we mean it is completely cut for you. You won't have to cut a hole in it for your windshield wiper squirters. You won't have to cut out your vents. And in most cases, the only thing you're going to have to do is cut the box when you get it. Now, we're not trying to tell you if it's not pre-cut, it's not good. What we are saying, if it's not pre-cut, it's a lot more work. Let's use this tailgate in comparison to racing stripes. Racing stripes need to be pre-cut, otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time cutting them to size before you install it. Most of the time that spin out will be in prep and cutting. So you're looking at 4 times as long to cut them yourself. And if you don't have experience, you're going to lose a lot of vinyl. Now with our tailgate, there's not too much rolling it over the edge and cutting a straight line. But the stripes, big deal. Jeep grill wraps, major big deal. You definitely need those pre-cut. All right, we're back at it again with the white glove. What we're doing is wrapping around the corner. As you see, I'm actually able to do it really quickly with the white glove because I could feel if there's any wrinkles or if there's any bubbles, which I really don't run into any. Here we've cut an X into where the tailgate handle should go. The reason we cut an X into this is simple. It's so we can release the tension from the center of this area, and it will allow us to conform the vinyl around the edges on the outside of the area a little bit easier. I want to give you something to ponder. You should think of the vinyl like your skin. You know, it's easy to take a torch or a blow dryer over it really quickly and it gets really warm really quick. But if you go too slow or you get too close, you'll actually burn the skin and you will get blisters. Well, the vinyl will do the same thing. While you see me doing this and I'm really good at it, I'm going really quick and I'm not too close. All right, we're starting to finish this thing up. I think we have a little over 5 minutes left. It's time to take a close look at this thing, see if there's anything that needs repair from like minor scratches from the squeegee or something like that. No? Well, here, let me put some in. We're not going crazy. We just want to show you how easy you can remove these scratches. You can get these scratches when you're installing it. You can get them when you're putting things in the back of your truck. One thing is for sure, before you take the torch out and use the torch on it, make sure your wrap is clean. One of the common mistakes people do is they'll torch over some dirt. If you torch over dirt, it will leave a ring and an impression in your wrap you will not be able to get out. Now, I don't know what level of experience you might have with a torch. So if you don't have very much experience with the torch, I would have to recommend that you use a heat gun. Or if you don't have a heat gun, try a blow dryer. All right, looks like we're wrapping over the edge again. As you can see, we're using the left hand to pull tension and the right hand to smooth the wrap out. And here you can see we've got just a little bit of a wrinkle. So we went ahead and pulled it back down, used the torch, and smoothing it back out. Well, we're almost done with this tailgate wrap, and we'd like to thank you for joining us. And we're hoping that this was informative enough for you that you can get this tailgate wrap on easily and quickly. We got a couple more things to talk about real quick, and then we're done. All right, we're moving into the badge area. That's where they put the Ford decal. We don't worry about these too much, at least on the newer models, because there's holes behind it for the alignment pins. So we can get the whole thing done and go finish this because we know that there's a recessed hole behind that the air could escape through. If you have any questions, give us an email at admin@speeddemon Hot Rod Shop.